let's get going. So first of all, about the title. We've alternated on the title a little bit. Gut the geek speak, cut the geek speak, whatever. If you think this is going to be 40 minutes about geek speak, it's not. That was just Patrick made me come up with a name really quick, and we thought, oh, that's a clever name, because a lot of times you come to a HubSpotter event, and all the HubSpotters kind of ooze off geek speak onto you, and we all go back from a keyword grader and things like that. And business people don't want to talk about keyword grader. So that's just kind of where that comes from. But the triple your earnings thing is for real. What we're going to do today is we're actually going to reveal 15, thank you. We're going to reveal 15 mindsets, 15 secrets that we're going to unveil today. Oh, okay, it's gone. 15 secrets is gone. We may not have 15. We have no truth in advertising issues. So we're going to reveal 15 mindsets, processes that we're going to give to you that are things that we did the wrong way as we were growing the agency, and things that I think we've kind of licked today, or at least we've made good progress against, that have benefited us. So you're going to gain 40 months worth of learning, hopefully, that you won't have to go back and reinvent. About me, I am married 20 years this November, 3 beautiful children. We're out in suburbs of Seattle, Washington. I play bass guitar whenever I can. I'm a boating enthusiast and a platinum HubSpot partner. Thrilled to be here. So let's see. If you could, please rate this presentation. Right when we get to the good stuff, if you laugh or whatever, go ahead and rate it right then. Don't wait till the end, because it might change your mind on it. So first off, if you're looking to grow your agency, you got to find clients, right? You got to find new clients, and this is the kind of prospect you want. My colleague over here, Will, picked out this graphic. He said, this is what the room is looking for. We don't want to go out and actually have to sell anything. We want to find people that are like, ready, take my money, right? But unfortunately, this is the kind of prospect we end up with, right? Well, why that? Well, why is that important? Well, why should I do a blog? Well, why you? Well, what about this other company? I heard I can get SEO done for $1,000. This is what we end up with, right? And why is that fair that we have all these questions? Well, we're going to give you 15 tips here on how I think you can circumvent that and prevent the question and answer, actually change the dynamic in the buying selling process to your advantage. So hopefully this will make some sense. So number one tip is to do your homework. Now what in the world does that mean? It means, to me, it means you demonstrate a vertical knowledge. So if you're going in to talk to an attorney, you better be talking the attorney's language. You better have done some homework on that person's business, on their clients, their geos, their markets, what they're looking to do. It'd be really helpful to know what the top decision maker's big hot button is. There's always one or two. And so let's say you're talking to a mid-level person. You better know what the big cheese, he or she, is really interested in. Because it might be a blog, it might be leads. It's probably leads, it's probably things that go to revenue. And a mid-level person or an entry person that you might be talking to might steer you down the wrong track. And the worst persona of all when you're going in is to get stuck with Frank, which is our persona for the IT, the roadblock, the Dr. No, right? So if you're IT people in the room, I apologize. I'm going to make fun of you several times during this talk. But to me, doing the research means that you know the company, you know their market, you know where they've struggled, you've done the homework on their site, you've done an assessment. Right? I'm a big advocate of doing assessments over proposals. You go in with more knowledge about their situation, their inbound marketing potential, the opportunity available to them. And to me, it's not running Marketing Grader and passing a URL off. Here, I did an assessment. Because what value do you bring to the equation then? They could have done it themselves. I met a prospective partner, actually a partner, maybe in the room. I met him this morning, and he said his first assessment, some guy paid him $500 to go run a Marketing Grader report and bring it back to him and show it to him and walk him through, right? And he wasn't even a partner. Are you in the room? If you raise your, okay, I can talk about you more freely. You're not in the room. Okay, then he went back with the assessment, and the client said, okay, I need a plan. And the guy said, well, I'm not even a partner. I don't even do this stuff. Build me a plan. How much would it take? And so the guy built him a plan. And he came back with a plan to do inbound marketing. And the client said, okay, let's go. Get me started. And this guy said, I'm not even a partner. I don't even do HubSpot. And that's how he came to be a HubSpot partner. He was actually led into it by a client. And that's what I want you to see. And the number one way to get there is to demonstrate knowledge in that initial meeting, whatever that is, phone call, web meeting, sit down. Here's my take on this is don't invest time on a hope Don't invest any time until someone's committed to take a meeting with you, all right? But seriously invest once a meeting is booked and create a knowledge gift, even if it's just a webinar. We have a national business. We have some international clients. We don't do in-person meetings a lot because they're pretty inefficient. But if we're going to spend 45 minutes with you via GoToMeeting or Adobe is what we use, we're going to do our homework. We're going to know a lot about your business, and I suggest you do the same. So create a knowledge gift that person then feels responsible to take it to the next step, if it makes sense, because they're so impressed with what you know about their business. Number 2 is highly related. It's speaking their language. So if you're talking to a C-level executive, if you're talking to a CFO, for example, you better be talking about the financial rationale for doing inbound marketing. If you're talking to a technical, a lot of times we get brought in at the CIO level or director IT and Frank's boss. You better be able to talk about the technical aspects of a solution like this. What are the implications if you move their website onto HubSpot? You better know enough about what their concern is. Many times, you're going to get brought in by someone in sales and marketing, right? Is that the common thing? Raise your hand if usually your point of contact is in marketing or sales, about half the time. How many times is it technical? IT, not so much, okay. So in the marketing world, depending on what the business is, you better be speaking in terms, you better find out what they define their customer as. And I mean this in two senses. One is it a patient, subscriber, client, customer, policy holder? You better not use the wrong word, all right? Because you did all that homework and then you went in and you said, because you're trained by HubSpot, you're talking about what? Leads and customers, leads and customers, leads and customers. Well, you walk into a dental practice and you're talking about leads and customers and they're like, this person doesn't know anything about my business, my practice, my patients, right? So make sure you have the right terminology. And the same goes for the upper, if you're meeting with the VP of marketing, make sure that you know who might be the ultimate decision maker. So worst mistake we made this year was I was in a meeting with a director of marketing and a consultant who had brought us in, and I was talking, and they were saying the CEO is totally on board with this. The CEO loves your blogging initiative, and CEO is ready to go. CEO is going to buy off on this plan. And I said, great, what's he going to blog about? This is a room of all women, and the CEO is a woman. So that meeting didn't go so well, right? Because I hadn't done my homework, who are the ultimate decision maker. They actually did become a client, but it's been very painful. It was a very painful mistake. All right. Number 3, wrong and generic terms. Just because they're HubSpot terms doesn't mean they're the right terms to use. All right. We're going to do 3 little Twitter polls. So how many of you are using Twitter during this conference, during this session? Okay, so we're going to encourage you to go out and vote. Here's the first question. So when you're at these sessions or you're back in the real world, whatever, related to inbound marketing, what's your number one most annoying or your most favorite geek speak phrase that you hear? What's the phrase you like to purge out of the vocabulary? So if you would, take to Twitter and tweet your answer with the hashtag inbound12 and the hashtag poll, and we're going to use Hootsuite live during this talk to come up with the results from the group. So just a little fun little instant poll there. Okay, number 3 is meet them at their level, okay? So if you are, I met a couple of you that are in sales or business development, and if you go in to meet with a VP of marketing and you say, I'm just a biz dev guy, I don't really know anything, okay, your chances of succeeding are very, very slim. So you really need to engage them with confident dialogue at their level. So if you're your own business or you're in a startup, you have the most flexibility, right? If you have flexible titles, if you guys are creative with titles, I suggest that our business development folks go in at their level. So if you're meeting with a VP, you ought to be a VP of something. Creative ideas, I don't know what it is, but you need to go in confident at their level. You don't want to go in at a subservient level. Hi, I'm here, I'm begging to get your business, I'll grovel at your feet. That's never going to work, right? Because even if you get a meeting, whatever, you're not going to have a long-term relationship if you start a conversation at that level. So I suggest here that you, it doesn't matter who I sit down with. If I'm asking questions instead of telling them, they think I'm a great conversationalist. So if I went up to you, sir, and I said, here's my big question for you. What's your biggest gripe about marketing? Not enough leads, okay? And in an ideal world, what would you change about your website? Produce more leads? Okay, fantastic. If I keep in the question phase, I tend to do very well. I love asking C-level executives or business owners, stakeholders, if you had an additional 25% lead volume, how would that impact your business next year? Basically the rule is if you can stay in the question phase, relevant to this whole topic, you're going to win because you're going to look smart, intelligent, you're going to guide them down this path. And the C-level, the big businesses, decision makers do not want to go with you on a discussion about on-page metadata. Keyword grader says this, and I did a website grader, and I gave you a score of 67. They don't care about that stuff, right? Are we agreed? Okay, fantastic. Number 4 is speak about growth. So my personal bias is the reason people buy, whenever they're going to buy agency services or whatever you sell, people are buying for one reason. You are going to give them something that is going to enable them to perform better in their company, in their situation, that's going to increase their personal pocketbook. That's why most people buy, even in B2B. And oftentimes, it's a C-level person whose bonus is tied to company performance. So if I were to talk to you, sir, and I found out that your bonus is tied to company profitability, at the end of the year, you get a certain share of the company profitability. If I find that out, then I know what's driving the buying decision, right? So meaning, if I speak to you about strategies and growth and a vision for growth and increasing your lead flow by 25, 50% from free traffic, from free qualified leads, from organic search, that's going to be very appealing to you, right? And if I revert to the topic of this title, Geek Speak, if I'm talking about, well, out of Facebook, we can do some ads, and we can drive people to a landing page, and from the landing page, we can convert them really well because HubSpot bot performable. I mean, you lost them, right? You with me there? So speak to strategy, vision, goals, and objectives, not tactics. Don't make promises. Talk to them about the markets they want to go into. Talk to them about geographies that they may be in or haven't been in. I love asking business owners, is there any possibility for you to sell overseas? Are you interested in getting business from the Middle East, from Asia, and people haven't thought that way. Many domestic sellers of stuff haven't thought about the Asian market. Brazil, had a great conversation last night with someone about Brazil. These BRIC markets where the currency is just going crazy, right? And demand is going crazy. China, the demand is amazing. If you're talking to a prospect that has the potential, even if it's 3 years down the road, of being in China, you could help them. China is an inbound marketing market, and not many people are thinking about it that way. Okay, number 5. This is my absolute favorite, one of all, is create reciprocity. So that's the notion. It's just a fancy word for give and get, right? My colleague Will calls it give and get. He was with Microsoft 9 years, so he's got all kinds of Microsoft terminology for these principles. But basically, if I come to you, if I meet with you, sir, what's your name? Ivad. If I meet with Ivad and I give him the gift of knowledge, so I have a 20-page assessment ready to go, and I've done an analysis of his opportunity, his market, and I've checked out what kind of audience exists on Facebook for his market, and I've looked into the China opportunity for him, and I come and I meet with you, and I give you this gift, this assessment. What's your feeling towards me? Well, I mean, you don't know what I'm charging yet, but you're ready to hire me. You're like, okay, let's get this done. So I encourage you to go with a gift, and I'm going to finish with a Seth Godin quote on this same thing. Gift of information is very powerful. It costs us very little to generate a lot of information. You have access to some of the best tools and information out there. Your challenge is to put it in a way that is meaningful for the audience that you're meeting with. The challenge is not to blow them away with HubSpotties. Yes?
Real quick on that.
Yeah.
Kind of a very thin line, I get to give and get. There are some people that want to take and not give back.
Yeah.
Like I've had a few people, and I kind of want to start.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give you a strategy and things.
Yeah. So if you didn't hear the question, there's some people that just take, they won't give back. And that is a risk that you have to take with a reciprocity strategy. But I believe that, number one, you're not going to invest your time giving an informational gift. You're not going to do a thorough assessment, right? The agency partner from Australia. You're not going to do an assessment if they're not serious about meeting with you. You might ask them for their competitors. If they don't get back to you with competitor URLs, that's a good sign they're not going to be serious. And if they don't allocate, if you say, we need to sit down, we need to talk for 45 minutes, and they're like, I'm really busy, I can only afford 15, that person is a taker. Those are all signs that they're just going to take from you, right? So that's That's my favorite thing to do. And we don't do capabilities pitch. How many people, I'm not going to make funny, but how many people go in and your first meeting you do a capabilities presentation, like a PowerPoint? Will anyone admit to that? Okay, a couple. We just stopped doing it. You do it? Well, because it's credibility, right? You think, well, if I go in, I show them our capabilities, then I'm going to be seen as credible. We actually go in and say, look, we're not doing capabilities. We are going to give you basically the results of a blood test. We did an assessment on your business. We have your URL. We looked for related social media properties. We did an assessment. We did a blood test on your business. We're going to come in and demonstrate expertise through our insight of how you look to your market. And I've never, ever had one person go, you know, I don't really want to know about my business. I'd rather just see a PowerPoint. You know, they don't do that, right? So that's the number one. If you forget all the others, number 5 is the most important. Okay, number 6, and this really applies, especially if you're in the business development function, you've got to value your time more than you do today. How do I know this? What's my formula for this? Okay, I'm going to just give you a formula, put in your own numbers, that's fine. But right now in your mind, think of that number that you want to make. If you're in control of your income through bonus, through commission, whatever, think of that number that you need to make in 2013, okay? And divide that by 2,000 hours, and then multiply it by 10, okay? So your number may be $1 million, your number may be 50 grand, I don't know what it is, but let's just use the number 100 grand. I need to make 100 grand next year. You better generate $500 of value per hour for your company to justify $50 an hour that the company is paying you or you're paying yourself if you work for yourself, okay? And why do I say that? Because it's an important thing to gauge yourself. I had a boss back in the days when I worked for somebody, and he made me do this exercise. Because if you're doing reports, if you're spending time pumping in data into Salesforce.com, if you're scouring blogs for somewhere to just post a comment thinking that's going to light up your name, there's all kinds of things we can do to stay busy that aren't effective. And the metric I use is it hitting that number, whatever your number is per hour, is that a $500 per hour value exercise. And if your number's 3 times that, you better generate 3 times that value. So you know what your valuable time is, right? Your valuable time is in assessing someone's business, meeting with someone, building a plan with them, networking, meeting new prospective clients, doing the valuable stuff. You've got to do that or you won't get the end result, right? That makes sense? Number 7. This is my favorite for if you're a new agency or you're a new person in that agency. Only busy people get busy, okay? So what I mean there is busy respects busy. Busy people get things done. So if I were to call on you, sir, what was your name? John. Okay. I call up John. John hit our website. He said, fantastic blog. I want to meet with you guys. I'm preparing an assessment for John. And John says, well, I've got to get you in here. When can you meet? Okay. If I say, anytime. Next week, I got nothing on my calendar. I'm completely free, John. You're the important person. You tell me what your schedule looks like. I don't have anything going on. What's your thinking of me right now? What's my credibility?
It's going down because you don't have other clients you have to worry about.
That's right. Right. I am purely just chasing new business, and in fact, I haven't landed any. I'm desperate to meet with you, and I'll meet with you wherever and whenever. Okay, so what I mean is you need to be busy to get busy. So when John says, I need to meet with you, when can you meet? Even if I've got nothing on my calendar, I coach our new biz dev guys to do this. You fill out your calendar. You are busy doing assessments, research, blogging, idea generating, whatever. You are busy already. And back to John, my answer would be, well, I've got an hour on Thursday afternoon. I might be able to move some things around for you Friday morning. Does either one of those work? And John is probably thinking, man, it's only, what, Tuesday? The guy can't meet with me for a week and a half? He's really busy. He must be doing some things, right? And you will actually get that way. If you're not already there, you will get that way, and people will respect it, okay? And you need to be that busy in your schedule. Fake it if you have to, but be busy to get busy, all right? Make sense? And the final comment on busy people is when you get that busy, you will learn to prioritize, and you will only do the $500, $1,500 an hour stuff, and you will learn to manage your time very well because it's out of necessity, right? So if you got a bunch of time in your hand right now, make it busy. Okay, number 8, incredibly important, define your process. I'm a big believer in process over opportunity, and I'll explain what that means. I think one of the fallacies of an agency is we get a prospect on the line, and we think, oh, this is great. This company's, they're a division of IBM. If I could just get this deal, if I can get this client, it'll make our agency, it'll make my month, it'll make my year. And you just grip so tight on an opportunity, you actually squish it. Okay, so the process of how you generate business is far more important than any opportunity, any single opportunity. Okay, so this is a process that we take clients through. I'm going to give you 2 processes here. Maybe they'll make sense. So we take new clients through. When people say, well, what do you guys do? We say, well, we take you through a visibility process. We take you through a trust and credibility process. This has a lot to do with link building. We take you through engagement and content. We take you through conversion and results. We take you through lifecycle marketing, and we prove it all with dashboards so you can prove revenue and ROI. Clients love process. Okay, one of the things they love about you is that you're not making this stuff up. You've tested on other people. You have a process. It's rinse and repeat, right? And you've scaled that. You've done it for other people. Even if you haven't done it for other people, you're going to leverage the other people that went before you in the HubSpot partner system, like Daniel Linton, right? When we talked to an e-commerce client for the first time, we never built an e-commerce site. So how am I saying we can do an e-commerce site? Well, I look at Daniel's site. He's got an e-commerce. He's probably going to be building the website for us. So I leverage success, and I have a process that we go through. So how does this relate to generating sales? Well, here's your process that's more important than any given opportunity. Here's what we do anyway. If this works for you, great. As you already figured out, we do an assessment first. Now, the assessment is 2 ways. It's not just an assessment of their business. It's not an assessment of their website and their blog. We are also assessing them as a potential client. Daniel's going to do a great talk, and he's going to talk about how he uses a project, right, to test out a relationship. That's the same thing we do. We assess the prospective client and see if they're going to be a good fit. Because frankly, if they're not, if they're a know-it-all, or Frank, the IT guy, is in control, it's going to be a total wasted effort. And again, the process is more important than the opportunity, so we don't put the opportunity up here and say, yeah, we have to get it. The number 2 thing that we do then, if the assessment, at the end of an assessment, I wait for the prospect to say, so what do we do next? What's the next step? I don't ask them, can I do a proposal? We just let it be an open-ended question. And if they're really a good prospect, they will come back to you. So we do a discovery process then. We have some questions we go through. We go through 11 big questions. At that point, if they've answered the 11 big questions via phone, interview, whatever, if they give us good information, then we say we'll build a statement of work together. We're going to put together a framework. We're going to come back in and walk you through and make sure we're aligned with goals and objectives. And then we're going to craft the proper plan using inbound marketing. It's going to be a combination of software, methodology, and we're going to work through timelines and budgets, and we're going to work everything out so it makes sense for you, that we meet your goals. Okay? The word you did not hear in there was proposal, which I think is coming up. We don't do proposals. Okay? So we do statements of work. We sit down, we negotiate, we work through the deliverables, the timelines, the budgets, and then we receive funds, and then we do a kickoff meeting. And we never vary from that process. We actually do, and we fail. Whenever we shortcut, whenever one of our team members wants to get started on something, we don't have funds yet, we don't have a signed agreement, it always bombs. There's always a reason. So define your process, and then remember when you're sitting in that meeting. Okay? If I'm sitting there with John, I don't need John, because I found John through my website. He came to our blog, and there's going to be 160 more people like him this year that come in that I could sit down with. And if John's not playing ball with me here, I don't want to be in a client relationship with John, because he's going to suck all my time. He's going to make this not fun. And this, to me, it has to be fun. So, and fun is profitable. Profitable is fun. Yeah. 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 So I say, well, they usually say, can I get a proposal from you? And that's like saying, well, I'm going to get a proposal from, my neighbor knows this guy, and then there's this really cheap thing I found online, and I want your proposal in there so I can justify why I'm going to go with the neighbor, you know. So I say, yeah, I'll be happy to get it in writing. We do custom statements of work. We're going to want an hour to go through it with you. Let's get that time scheduled. It's going to take my team and I about 5 days to build that. So I want them knowing we're actually going to put in a lot of work. Our statements of work are like 20 pages long. It's not like HubSpot's order form. We don't do the order form deal. So if they can't commit to me the time, then I'm not going to do the work of writing it, right? And a lot of it's boilerplate. A lot of it's the same because we're using the inbound marketing methodology right out of HubSpot. But yeah, what I don't want to do is deliver a budget in advance of them seeing all the work that's going in, because there's no way for them to value it. And if they're purely going on budget, they're going to go right to HubSpot. They'll go, well, I think Sally can probably figure this stuff out. We'll just get a license directly from HubSpot. I heard it's as cheap as $200 now. And that's not your client, though, right? That's not your prospective client. So does that help answer that question? Okay. So yeah, number 9, we don't do proposals. My favorite question in the world when someone says, can I get a proposal from you? I've closed more work on this lead-in sentence than any other. Can I get a proposal from you? No, we don't do proposals. And they go, what? And so it builds the intrigue, and I go through what I just said. We build statements of work. They're custom crafted for you. Work together so we agree on the objectives and the goals. Because here's what I know that they don't know. Every proposal that they get is going to be a skeleton. It's going to be a shell of what we're going to put in there. Every proposal they get is going to be from someone that's not using HubSpot, probably. I've never run into Linton or Kuno or any of these guys, okay? And so there's so much business out there, right? So they're going to get proposals from people that don't even know a tenth of what you know. Yes?
So in your statements of work, do you define goals and strategy
Yeah.
and a lot of value-added
Yes.
stuff?
Yes.
So you're putting all this work into it.
Yeah.
When does the clock start? I mean, because they can just walk away from that and say, hey, I'm going to go with somebody who's cheaper, right? You put in, how many man hours? And
Yeah, about 10, probably. So very, very good question. Very good question. So we are not going to take it to the tactical level of, and this is how you set up your blog, and this is how you configure it. We're going to say things like, here's our process for achieving visibility. Okay? We're going to configure your business blog. We're going to populate it. We're going to integrate the HubSpot methodology that's available to all of you. But we're not going to expose the real how until we have funds received after signed contract. Yeah, that's when the clock starts. The success clock.
Back to what you were saying about defining what an hour of your time is.
Yes.
And you're saying, and you have to evaluate people.
Yes.
I learned the hard way about this is that, just from what I know about this person,
Yeah.
I'm not going to waste my time and money.
Absolutely.
With this person. There are other people where I can say, you know what, I trust this person.
Absolutely.
Prove it wrong, but I'll meet you.
Absolutely. No, your intuition, where there's smoke, there's fire kind of thing is usually right. Your hunch. Okay, I got to pick it up, I think. We're running out of time here. Negotiate from strength. This is tied into the others, but basically this comes back to the process of finding those qualified prospects for you is far more important than the prospect. So strength means when you go in, you're talking the strategy, you're talking about inbound marketing, you're talking about what we do, whether this person takes it or not. And if they try to take you off track and go, I just need someone to do on-page SEO of my site, my feeling is you walk away, because that's just a little fraction of the value you can deliver, right? So you go in with strength. It doesn't mean we don't negotiate and change that statement of work, but if they want to take money out, we're taking inputs out, right? Leverage success. I alluded to this earlier. So one of the challenges is when you're brand new, you're like, okay, well, when I get as big as Kuno, I'll have those blogs and I'll have this successful client list and all this kind of stuff. But you can use that today. Here's the thing. If we need a great blogging idea or a great business blog, we can go to HubSpot, we can go to Kuno, we can go to Linton. These guys, they have great content. And I heard a great quote from a growing company in the Silicon Valley, and they said, together with our team, we generate about 10 ideas a month. And we've just figured out that we give about 8 of them away on our blog and on our website. And those are 8 that we can just live with giving away. And we just keep the best 2 for the paying clients. And so that's what I advocate for you, is that when you're out there, you're listening to the Rands and the David Meerman Scotts of the world, you take 80% of that best stuff and you give it away. tweet it, blog it, push it out there, but take the very best stuff, the very best tools, the stuff that I'm not showing you today. You keep that for your paying clients, right? All right. Number 2 poll, for results from the first poll. Any conclusive results there? Verticals? Verticals. Verticals is the number 1 geek speak we want to purge. That was what our Twitter poll. So poll number 2, so I just said share. What's one business secret that you can share with the group today? So please put your business secret. I've given you some of mine. Tweet your answer with hashtag inbound12 and hashtag poll. Okay, number 12. Know what you do and how you describe what you do is perceived by your market. Okay? So in other words, your elevator pitch, if you meet a CEO on the way back in the airport, if you're driving, whatever, gas station, you meet a CEO and that CEO says, where were you? I was in Boston. What were you doing there? Know how that sounds, okay? So I think if you say we're an SEO company, I think the market puts a value of about $1,000 on that. Oh, they're worth $1,000. That's like a project, right? I'm a website design company. Maybe you can get 15, 20 grand from being a website designer. Maybe 50 grand if you're really, really good. If you say we're a HubSpot reseller, okay? Number 1 worst thing you can possibly say, I think, because what are you saying? I'm a cash register and I stand in front of HubSpot and I mark everything up? I mean, that's ridiculous, right? So I don't think you want to be a VAR. I don't think you want to be a reseller. I think my suggestion, what we tell people is we're a company that helps other companies acquire more customers and generate qualified leads from online sources. We do so through inbound marketing, blogging, social media. And if you're a company that helps other companies grow their business, I think you're worth 100 grand, 250, 500 grand per year, ongoing revenue, if that's the business you're in. So I think you really need to think about how you describe yourself. And in doing so, you need to marginalize your competition. I think a lot of times people will say, well, I've got this friend in PR, and we know this developer, and this Frank, he's doing our website right now, and he's a good developer, and I know this designer and everything. What you need to do is, instead of fighting all these battles, because here's kind of the lay of the land. I think we sit, as inbound marketers, we sit in the center of this thing. We're like the coach of the team. We don't need to be the quarterback, okay? Because the quarterback gets hit, and the quarterback goes out of the game. The quarterback's done. They may make a lot of money. Maybe that's the designer. I think what you need to position yourself is you're the person that's unique. You and your company are uniquely poised to bring in all this talent. And if you don't have development resources right now, because you're a small up-and-coming agency, do what we did. Use Linton. Linton has built many of our best sites, okay? If you're short on content, use Xeris. I mean, they're great for content, right? Designers, all these things you can buy out if you don't have. So you can kind of fake it till you make it, virtual agency till you make it, and then begin to add all these very important disciplines. But I would never lose a piece of business to a PR firm when you can do search engine optimized PR today, right? And you can do all these things. So I just say we're the coach that brings all these different disciplines into place, and we understand your business objectives, whereas Frank and the designer and the developer, they're all going to go do their individual thing. We're going to wrap it up and make business sense. And CEOs, presidents love this kind of stuff. Okay, number 14, bring the ideas. So, one of my favorite quotes is the Wanamaker thing, right? John Wanamaker said, I know half of my advertising works, I just don't know which half. Seth Godin updated it a few years ago, and he said, the truth is it's less than 1%. Like, take a billboard. Billboard's not really appealing to a lot of people. It's probably less than 1% of your advertising works. But Seth Godin added this tremendous quote on top of that. Let me bring it up here. He says, when the economy tanks, it's natural to think yourself first. You have a family to feed, a mortgage to pay. Getting more appears to be the order of business. Okay? Same way when we're starving, we're starting out. It turns out that the connected economy doesn't respect this natural instinct. Instead, we're rewarded for being generous. Generous with our time and money, but most important, generous with our art. 10? Generous with our art. So to me, I put the word content in there. We're generous with our content, right? Because that's our art in this form. Infographics. If you make a difference, people will gravitate to you. They want to engage, to interact, and to get more involved. And here's the crux of the quote right here on screen. In a digital world, the gift I give you almost always benefits me more than it costs. And that's the fantastic part. That's the part about giving 8 ideas away and only keeping 2. Make sense? Okay, let's go to the results of poll 2. So can you pick out like the best business idea?
One was
Process
process design.
design.
Second was say no to business outside your focus area.
Second winning tip is say no to businesses outside of your core focus to grow. Yeah, fantastic ideas. Very good. And you can pick those up on Hootsuite or whatever your reader is. Okay, poll number 3. This is the most important. I predicted that more of you would respond to this one, so please don't make me a liar. Who is your favorite big idea voice? Is it David Meerman Scott? Is it Dharmesh? Is it Seth Godin? Is it Rand? Who is it? Tell us who you get inspired by, who you follow the most or enjoy reading the most, okay? And put that out with the 2 hashtags. Please, we'll announce that at the very end. So we got 8 minutes to go here. 15 is this. I believe that the higher up you go in an organization, the more colors and graphs and charts and analogies make sense. So if you want to sell bigger clients and bigger deals, bigger engagements at a higher level, which I think all of you do, we want to sell more, higher up to bigger companies, you're going to have to get good at selling with graphics and big concepts, ideas, strategies, but you're also going to need to humanize what in the world we do here. So take social media, for example. I'm going to give you my analogy for social media. So I find that if you, Will and I sat down with a client recently, 70-year-old guy, brilliant businessman, has a traditional manufacturing business, sells all over the country. He's a leader in what he does. He went to a social media for business conference put on by the Puget Sound Business Journal, American City Journals, and he had 7 pages of notes. I mean, they freaked him out. He's like naming .com after .net after .com. Should we be doing this? Should we be doing this? And he just didn't get what these media are. So here's my analogy for what the social media are. And I think if you humanize it for the C-levels, they will buy from you because you're demonstrating experience and knowledge. So Starbucks. Starbucks to me is like a coffee shop. It's a place where you go and you have conversations. And you might pull up a table and play a game. And you certainly don't go into Starbucks and stand up on the table and start telling everybody about your business. You would never do that at Starbucks, right? And you don't do that in Facebook either. You engage, you ask polls, you make posts, you post your blog there, and you're a good corporate citizen, right? But it's conversational, it's informal. People can relate to that. CEOs can relate to that. Twitter is like a radio station, okay? So it's your direct mouthpiece into the engine of Google. That's what I believe. And it might, if you're just starting out on Twitter, it's like you have a ham radio operator. You know, you're sitting there in the middle of the night and you may not have any listeners, right? Isn't that what we all worry about? But with time, you tweet about relevant content, you create links back to your blog, you're going to have a growing audience. You're going to be a 100,000 megawatt station. You're going to be Sirius XM. And so Twitter is really the radio station analogy. And people of all ages get that analogy real quick. Flickr and Instagram are like a museum. Okay, that's where you showcase your people, your events. You guys were hanging out with Owly, the mascot for Hootsuite. This is where you showcase that stuff in your visual museum of your business. And then what's this one? Can anyone guess? Kind of a networking. LinkedIn, absolutely, absolutely. LinkedIn is your real down to business networking site. What's this one? YouTube, Vimeo. It's your. I tell people all the time. You have access to a business-to-business cable TV channel, very easy to publish to. It's going to change your business next year. And people are like, what? What do you mean? And yes, YouTube is an opportunity for you to go direct to your B2B consumer, your B2B customer, or your regular consumer. Very powerful way, very emotional way. And then finally, this one, I liken links. I tell it 2 ways. Links are the currency of the internet. They're probably 75% of the value that we place on your site is from the links, the quality, the relevancy of the people link to you. But here's the human analogy. It's like movie reviews, okay? Back in the day, Siskel and Ebert, they gave you a thumbs up. Everyone went out to see it, right? Today it's a little different, Fandango, there's other elements. But links are like positive movie reviews. and they influence the entire market as to whether your site or your client's site is the one to visit or not. So let's go back to the results of our third poll, and we'll take any questions. We have like 4 minutes to go. Cool.
So,
Question number 1. Oh,
no.
legendary number 1. Yeah, voice number 1, sorry.
Rand is certainly.
Rand's up there. Rand Fish gets some votes.
Yeah.
Mark
Mark Schaefer.
Schaefer. Anybody hear of Mark Schaefer? Yeah.
Seth Godin.
Seth Godin, one of my favorites.
David Merriman Scott.
David Merriman Scott.
Chris Brogan.
Chris Brogan.
Rory Sutherland.
Roy Sutherland. Anyone know Rory? Okay. Any other big voices?
Mitch Jewell.
Mitch Jewell. Fantastic. Okay, so those are some people to follow, and we'll put those out on, well, they're out on the Twitter stream. It's kind of, we don't even have to share, right? It's already shared. So that's all we got. Any questions? Last 3 minutes. Yes?
I got here at point 3, so you might have talked about this for something.
1 and 2 were awesome. You totally missed out. They were the best ones. Yeah.
Do you ever bring up the budget question? Do you ever ask that question?
Yeah. Ask the question, what do you have? Yeah.
Where their budget stand, is that one of those 11 questions?
Yeah, it is. One of the 11 questions is helping them define the value of a lead. And most people don't have a clue. I mean, 95% of businesses don't know what a lead's worth. So we walk through, okay, well, what do you sell for? And what's the residual? And what's the lifetime value of the customer? And then we basically just divide back by the conversion rates to arrive at the value of, okay, a qualified lead to you is worth $41. We do it on a whiteboard. Okay, so if we were going to charge you $10,000, obviously you're going to expect 2,200 qualified leads, right? And we get at it like that. And then they go, $10,000? I thought this was $100 a month. Okay, so anyway, that comes up during the big strategic questions, yeah.
But where do you get to, where do you figure out what that is before you go put all your time into it?
Yeah, during the big, remember, we do the strategic questions before we ever do statement of work. So if it comes back and they're cheaping out on us, or in a case recently, we just refused to participate in an RFP because they could not arrive at a value of what they had set aside for marketing, what they valued a lead, what a customer's worth, lifetime value customer. They knew nothing. They're just like, just give us a proposal. No, we don't do proposals. Just give us a budget. No, you're not worth it. Yeah. 2? 2 questions or 2 minutes? Okay. Okay, we got time for one more question. Yes?
Actually, I would be the kind of person that you all might want to talk to about maybe doing marketing in the future. But
Terrific.
just as a point, what does a good customer look like to you? What does a good customer look like? What is it that you're getting from that individual that creates a great relationship?
Yep.
For all involved?
Yep. So a good customer to us, the question is, what does a good customer look like? What does a good prospect look like? To me, it doesn't matter vertical. We just killed that word, right? Doesn't matter what industry. Doesn't really matter what geography. To me, it's a business where we're talking to someone that has the business authority to make a decision and commit to a strategy, and they know what they know and they know what they don't know. Or they're aware that there's stuff they don't know. So I will take the person who's ignorant of inbound marketing but knows they need to work and generate leads over the person that's a know-it-all and is going to question everything we do and try to haggle about tactics every day of the week. So I'll take a person that's aware and wants to change, wants an agent of change to help them come alongside them and help them grow. So we had this recent client who just put out on Twitter, he said something like, connection model, make me your biggest fan. And he put that on Twitter. Well, that's a guy who gets it, right? He's even using Twitter to say it, which is so cool. One more question? Yes.
On your value model.
Yes.
So are you ever asked to guarantee a number of leads? How do you respond to that?
Yes. Can we take that offline? That's an awesome question. And we'll put a little snippet of the answer out on our Twitter feed. But the question was, are you ever asked to guarantee the performance or guarantee the budget? One last thing I'm going to leave you with. I said this last year. Some of you may have been there last year. I was on a panel. Don't ever send a proposal or a statement of work. Okay? Don't ever send it. Always sit down meet with them, even if it's in a go-to meeting. They've got to see the value. There's not a single prospect out there, if they say they are, they're lying, that will look at your entire statement of work before looking at the budget. They all are budget flippers, and you just lost all control. You lost all value. So don't ever send anything. Meet with them, go through it, and then send it. Okay, we're out of time. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.